The more I focus on it, the more things in my life fall into place. It's not like I have to do so much. Things happen. And I have kind of come to peace with it that I don't plan too much. But the longer I live, I just go with what comes my way. And this is the experience of structural integration. I was born in Prague, but for the first 5 years of my life, I actually lived here in Ostrava. In 1968, during the Prague Spring, we were able to travel and go on vacation to England. My mother was a pediatrician and she was working in England to finance the whole thing. And we had a flight back to Prague on the afternoon of the 20th of August. In the morning we learned that troops of the Warsaw Pact had invaded Czechoslovakia, and it was a matter of only a few hours to decide that we would not take this flight back, and 1 week later I went to school in England. Ultimately, some years later we ended up in Switzerland, and I went to school there, finished my education. My mother, she had not left Czechoslovakia for her own reasons. She had only left the country to have her children have a better and brighter future. And of course she expected these children, my brother and me, to pick up something and do something in the sense that what she had imagined. She was a pediatrician, so for her it was clear that we ought to go to university and study medicine or something similar and pick up an academic career. Now this was not something that was appealing to me, and I was under an incredible amount of pressure. I yielded at first to that pressure and actually started studying at the university in Basel, English and mathematics, for about 4 years until I really couldn't stand that anymore. And I decided to pick up something which had always interested me, and this was acting. So I applied at the Acting Academy in Zurich in Switzerland, and I was accepted and spent the next 4 years of my life in Zurich studying acting. There was still an incredible amount of pressure, and it was very hard for me to find a way of dealing with that pressure. So I was in some ways in a constant state of depression. Fortunately, at the same time, my knee hurt after a football injury some 5 years back, where a surgery had extracted completely the lateral meniscus. And the medical profession didn't really know what to do any more than what they'd already done. And so there was a suggestion of another surgery, but that did not seem all that appealing to me. And someone suggested I see a Rolfer. Of course, I had no idea what that was, but I trusted that person enough to say, okay, I'm going to see this person. And so I went through my first 10 sessions of structural integration in Zurich. I was really shocked how little I had known about the functioning of my body, how little I had known about the connections of my physical body to my emotional being. That person, that Rolfer, did not in any way work to solve my problem with the knee. He paid hardly any attention to the knee. What he did was he spent 10 sessions in helping my body to be in better balance with gravity. That did not only solve my knee problem, but also made the depression I was in a lot lighter. There was like a light at the end of the tunnel of that depression, and I was strong enough to feel that I could say to my parents, hey, it's my life. that time, my psychological state was that bad that I was actually contemplating of shooting myself. What these 10 sessions of structural integration did was not entirely solve that problem. Of course, the problem was still there, but it showed me a way of working on it. So I thought, if 10 sessions of this work can get me to the point, 10 hours, that's nothing. 10 hours get me to the point where I don't want to shoot myself anymore. Then, looking ahead, how far can 20 years of going in the same direction get me? And that's how I started to practice Zen and ultimately became a practitioner of structural integration. And it's a physical experience. It is not something that you decide mentally. It is a physical experience in a body of wanting to live. It is very hard to describe that because there's a point where a physical experience reaches the boundaries of verbal communication. On the deepest level of your body, you have bones. Between every bone and every other bone, you have a joint. Around all of these bones, you can imagine you have draped a web of soft tissue. And this web of soft tissue holds those bones and those joints in place. That web of soft tissue is completely continuous. So it is continuous from the little toe all the way into the last cell of your brain. When somebody dies, that web disintegrates fairly quickly, and you will in a grave find, after some years, bare individual bones. So the bones are not continuous, but the web around them is continuous and defines the position of all joints and all bones. So if something somewhere is in a bad position, everything is in a bad position because that web is continuous. Now, at least hypothetically, it would be possible to work towards an optimal organization where all joints of the body have enough room, but not too much room, and are balanced in movement relative to each other in such a way that the movement is as easiest as possible. And this is in some ways the effect of structural integration. So you start on this physical body, you organize that web of soft tissue so that the joints are all in the relatively best position, and you teach the person to find what Ida Rolf called their line, which is an inner sense for such an optimal organization. Life is a continuum, and people make choices. Now, you can make a choice to live within your body and with your body, or you can make a choice to use your body. Those are different approaches. And I'm not judging either of them. I'm just saying that if you choose an approach where you are your body, where you live with your body, you will have different results and you will have different psychological results. So once again, I am not trying to advocate fixing a problem. I'm not trying to advocate fixing even a psychological problem. What I am saying that the moment you decide to go on a path, on an adventure of experiencing your body in gravity and finding more and more improved balance within gravity, then other things happen in your life and your psychological state usually improves.